Hello everyone, this is Randy, November 2, Charlie United Alpha. Okay, so what we have for you today here is a Regal DG-4162 arbitrary waveform generator. It's kind of a preliminary review. I just got it today, so I'm still going through all the bells and whistles and seeing what it can and can't do, but so far so good. I'm actually enjoying working with it. Like the spectrum analyzer I've been using on my videos, it's pretty user-friendly and intuitive as far as the functions and buttons, etc., and the soft menus. I think the only thing that wasn't was setting channel parameters, and that was really it. So far so good. I'm I'm in the thumbs up category right now. So I want to go through some of the stuff that I've played with so far, and things that I've just pull some stuff out of the manual that I thought were points of interest. So let's see, and it's about this is I don't know, I guess sort of like in the middle of the line. They have some older ones that are discontinued. They have some newer ones that are like the 5000 series. This one is being the 4000 series, goes up to 160 megahertz. It's 500 megasamples per second, 2-channel output. It was I think the list on it is, I want to say $12.95 in that price range. And the newer ones they do so much even more than this, and this one's pretty amazing as it is, but the new ones even are like $12,000. They're a lot, but they really do a lot too, though. And I'm going to do subsequent videos on different features and tests, and do more checking out and everything, but this is just kind of a quick look over type of thing. It was packed just like the DSA-15 spectrum analyzer. It was very nicely packaged in a box, very safe and secure in that box. Good packing material, and it was a box, a thick solid box inside of another thick solid box. So unless somebody intentionally wanted to do damage to this unit, you weren't going to do damage to it accidentally by shipping. So so kudos on shipping. Really nice job there. So some of the features I just wanted to read through quickly, and then I'll play a little bit on the analyzer. Was it's again soft menus. It has the buttons just like on the spectrum analyzer and the scopes. They have a nice feel to them. They don't feel cheap or anything. The unit has good heft to it too. I mean, you can tell it's got it's not cheaply made, I guess. It's got good lots of stuff in there, right, which is good. Good electronics. I haven't had it apart. We'll leave that to the EEV block. He can take it apart. I'm not going to do that. Tends to affect the warranty that way. Alright, anyway, so some features I was looking through the manual and to point out that I thought were kind of awesome. Oh, and one other thing before I start that. I'm used to, like, I have an old B&K, what is that thing up there? B&K 3030 sweep function generator. It went to a whopping 5 megahertz, and you could do square wave, sine wave, pulse, and triangular wave, I believe, and I think you could adjust the symmetry. Yeah, you could. That was it. Nothing more, nothing less. This thing does a lot more. I was playing with some of the menus. In fact, what it's sitting on right now, I got to do that before I read, just for fun. But in this waveform, where's my little pointer? Oh, don't want to use that for a pointer. That would be a good way to scratch the screen. This will work. Right here, if you can see this pointer, yes you can. You got the leading edge and the trailing edge. Nice thing too is they display the waveform, and it's not just a generic, sits there waveform and they don't change. When you change the settings, it actually changes the waveform on the screen, which is really cool. But so like we've got this waveform here on channel 1. I guess that'd be like a trapezoid, and you can actually change over here. You can press leading edge and adjust, and notice how that moved over here to show you we're adjusting that, and you can actually adjust the leading edge, okay, and And then with the trailing edge was the same idea. You could play with that. And there's more adjustment to it than that. You can, I believe, probably enter the numbers. Let me try. Let's try 75. 75 nanoseconds. There. So you can change that. So you can basically generate almost any kind of waveform you want just with the controls on the unit, which is sweet. Okay, just wanted to show you that because that was the last thing I was doing with it, and I thought that was so cool. Couldn't do that on the generators in the days of old. Not happening. So we have that. It's a power soft start. It's not, you know, the hard type switch. It's you know, typical for equipment these days. It has a USB port on it, so you can plug in a USB thumb drive and you can store the way the screen captures off the front of that, it says. You can store the instrument state. You can read and write waveform files as well. And I believe, I believe you can come up with your own setups and stuff if you're into all that programming kind of stuff, make up your own waveforms and such. But anyway, the point is you can save and store off the thumb drive back and forth from the unit to the unit and have fun, knock yourself out. What else we got here? The channel outputs can go from high Z to 50 ohms. I haven't set to 50 ohms, but you can do a high Z output on those, which is, I'm sure they'll come in handy for some tests for some people. It has sync outputs. It has a USB, by the way, USB output in the back for plugging it into a PC. Also has a LAN connector for plugging in to your network. I'm not so sure the software is any more exciting than what's on the DSA-15, but in most cases people don't, unless you're doing automated testing or whatever, people don't usually mess with that too awfully much anyway. Although I would love to see a really nice GUI web-based menu system and whatever with the analyzer. Wouldn't it be cool to access this from across wherever and actually have this, you know, the screen on your PC of the analyzer or of the function generator and actually work the controls and change things and do whatever. I don't know that the software does that unless they have software that I haven't seen that's possible. But at this point I haven't. Nice thing too, when you turn things on and off, lots of stuff changes on the display. For example, when you press, and you have to enable the output, by the way, I should say that, and it changes up there on the top, right here in this corner, it goes on. So you can tell. So a lot of the things indicate on the screen when you press the buttons or change settings, so that you know that your changes are taking place and so on, and where you're at. What else do we have here? Okay, there was something else I remember. There's something in here about a counter. I'm going to have to play with that a little bit more to see how that goes. The keypad's pretty self-explanatory, and you know, you get the numbers, you can press them in, press enter, the enter's right there. You have cancel and delete. I think delete would just be one character at a time, whatever, and then cancel would probably erase everything you were typing. I'm guessing that, but I haven't tried it, but I would assume that. The knob is, you know, it's a typical encoder knob, so it'll adjust things by turning the knob, obviously. Direction arrow, same thing. One nice thing, let's go up to frequency. I want to show you this because this is kind of interesting. So up on frequency, and I don't know if you can see it, but there's a little dot right here over the 2. Now this was one of the intuitive things. And so I pressed the arrow keys wondering, well, can I not move that dot over? And look at that, I can. So we can move the dot to where we want it to be and then turn the encoder knob and change the frequency based on the position of that dot on the number that's being displayed on the screen. So just thought that was kind of cool. So we have that. Go to the next page here. Lots of different waveform outputs up here, more than anybody will probably ever need ever. But there's sine wave, square wave, ramp, pulse, usual stuff. And again, with all of these, you can adjust amplitude. You can go down, by the way, you can go down to 1 millivolt, at least on a sine wave, up to, I think it was 5 volts peak to peak. which is a pretty hefty output actually. Think about hooking it to the antenna and seeing if my friend down at about 6 miles down the road would hear it. But anyway, and again you can adjust the duty cycle and pulse width, and depending which one you're doing, there's a noise waveform, arbitrary. I'm not sure about the arbitrary. I think that's where you can design your own waveforms. Not sure about that yet. And then harmonic, it'll produce up to 16th order harmonics based on the fundamental frequency that it's set to. However, the caveat there is that in this case, for example, it's 160 megahertz analyzer. So if you had it set to 10 megahertz, if I understand this correctly, the 16th order would be 160 megs. That's the highest it would go. If you set it to 80 megahertz, you're only going to get the second order, because that would be 160 megahertz, and that's as high as it goes. So you're not going to necessarily always get 16th order, unless that 16th or whatever order of harmonics you're trying to get is not higher than the top end of the waveform generator to begin with. So I hope that made sense. Oh, and you can also select whether you want all harmonics, even harmonics, odd harmonics. And it says you can adjust the amplitude of the harmonics. I've got to go over that, because I thought I was adjusting it that way, but it didn't seem to be affecting the output. And I have to kind of go back over that in the manual and see if I have missed something in that. Arbitrary waveforms, built-in waveforms. There's 150 built-in waveforms, and they do everything but like cook breakfast. I'm telling you, and make coffee. I would never use all these, but I'm sure there's people out there that would. There's sine, exponential rise, ECG, electrocardiograph, Gauss, dual tone could come in handy for doing a dual tone test on a transceiver. That would be nice. Anyway, there's just a boatload of medical stuff and electronics. There's one on I think car ignition. There's an EEG, an ECG, an EOG, which I didn't know about. It's an electrooculogram, has to do with your eyeball. It generates simulated waveforms for those. Modulation types, it does AM, FM, PM, ASK, FSK, PSK, BPSK, QPSK. Kind of getting the idea? It's just kind of cool. That I might use ham radio wise too. So it has sweep and burst. I'm going to work a lot with sweep on this eventually at some point to see if I can sync this with the spectrum analyzer and work them together, and see if I can use this as a tracking generator. I'm not sure I can do that, but it'd be interesting to see if I can, or at least something close to that, just for fun. What else have we got here? The channel settings, I believe it was a utility button, by the way, where you have all the different parameters on the channels, and then just going back here. Yeah, channel 1 set, and you can change things, because I wanted to change the output when I wanted to change it to 50 ohms from high Z. I had to go in here to do that into this utility, and I wasn't sure where to look for that. That was not obvious, but popped around a few buttons and like, there you are. Nice display. It's nice, it's pretty bright and nice and clear. What else do we have here? Oh, and the channel, one thing that's good to know, and I wanted to mention this, because this thing is capable, and I believe default when you fire it up is like 5 volts out or something, so that's a lot of voltage, so be careful what you're plugging that into, unless you're sure what you're doing with that amount of voltage. But point being, now here's output 1, output 2, these are the jacks, output and sync, output and sync. You have to hit this output 1 or 2 button to enable the output, so might be wise if you're working with something that doesn't handle higher voltages very well. You might be wise to turn that off, make your settings, go back, and then re-enable it once you're sure, because if that thing for some reason flips back up to 5 volts, you don't want to be frying anything. Things are tougher to repair these days. Everything's so small, so you want to watch out. Fun stuff. Mentioned that. See, I mentioned stuff ahead of time here. And like the DSA 815, it also has a reference 10 megahertz in and out on this one as well. Don't know if you can hook the two together, sync them up. Suppose you could. Don't know that for sure. I've done a lot with that type of thing. I would like to try to, though. There is an external signal input for the counter on the back. I have to work with that. Not positive of that. Again, the display, pretty much depending on what you're doing, it changes the display accordingly, so you can make the adjustments you need to make to whatever it is you're doing, and you know, it's pretty straightforward. So anyway, that's about it for a preliminary review. I mean, I like it so far. I'm enjoying using it. Still getting used to it, of course. It does a lot, and it'll take a little bit of play time. My favorite thing to do. And so we'll do some subsequent videos, but so far I'm really happy with it. 2 thumbs up there. There we go. So keep it up, and we'll catch you on the subsequent videos on you know, different types of testing and you know, whatever types of things I get to try out with this nice piece of equipment, and we'll go from there. So into CUA 7, saying 7 3s for now.